Greetings, I'm Reverend Dr. John E. Jackson Sr., and I'm the senior pastor of the Trinity United Church of Christ in the great city of Gary, Indiana. There's something special going on in Gary because we are not just another church, but we are a culturally conscious, Christ-centered church that's committed to the community. We are unashamedly black, and we are unapologetically Christian. It's Wednesday, and I want to offer once again what I call a Hump Day Homily, some Wednesday meditation. I shared with you about a month ago how I came to discern what my purpose is. I shared with you in that meditation two anecdotes. One was when I was in my mid-20s, I served on a jury trial. Jury duty, I ended up serving. The only time I ever served on jury trial. And I also shared with you how after that, one of the jurors, an older black man, gave me some revelation that helped me move toward my purpose. I also shared with you how I, in my early 30s, sat down at the bedside of my father who was in the hospital. He was suffering from prostate cancer. We did not know he would not recover from it at that time. And so I shared with you how we had this conversation because I watched Daddy in the hospital. People come to comfort him, encourage him, and they leave encouraged and comforted. And Daddy had been like this all of his life. Daddy had this ability to listen to people as if he had a heart in his ear. Daddy had the ability to just minister to people in the presence, with the ministry of presence. And it was just incredible. And I watched Daddy do this consistently, even when things weren't going well for Daddy. And I said, Daddy, how do you do this? I said, how do you do this? You do this consistently. You minister to people that come to minister to you. You've been doing this. I've been wanting to ask you, how do you do this? And my father said, and these words were so impactful. He said, because son, I've always known my purpose. He said, the average person will be born, will live, and they will die and never know their purpose. He said, I've always known mine. The significance of that is I'm in my early 30s. Daddy, a year or so later, passes away. I don't get a chance to ask him, how did you come to know your purpose? How did you discern your purpose? When did you discern your purpose? And so that's what I want to deal with in these meditations for the next few weeks, next week and then following week, this Friday and then next Wednesday. I want to talk about purpose. How do you know your purpose? Do you know your purpose? The prophet Jeremiah says God told him his purpose. In Jeremiah chapter 1, verses 4 and 5, God says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as prophet to the nation. God told Jeremiah his purpose. God said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. In other words, before we were egg or embryo, God knew us. God knew us before we knew us. God knows us so completely that God is the only one that could then give us direction in what is our purpose in life. Everybody has a purpose. In every acorn, there's a mighty oak. There's a mighty oak in you. There is a purpose in you. What is your purpose? Howard Thurman says that every person ought to ask God in conversation these three questions. Who am I? Why am I? And what am I to do? Who am I? Why am I? And what am I to do? And I want to close this out because I want, in this time of being sheltered in place, now we've been at this sheltered in place for about 3 months now. We've gone through a lot of aggravation. We've gone through a lot of transition, tension. And now we're probably irritated because if the weather is warm, we want to get out. But how about spending some more time, intentional time, with talking to God about those three questions that Howard Thurman says we ought to ask God. Who am I? Why am I? And what am I to do? Spend intentional time every day. You ain't going to get it in a day. It's not going to happen in an hour. It's going to happen over time, where the discernment of what God had in mind when God created me will come. You will discern it. In his book, Cure for the Common Life, my favorite Christian author, Max Lucado, he says this: God's design defines your destiny. God's design for you defines your destiny. Please spend some time, intentional time, 10, 15, 20 minutes in prayer, in conversation with God. Who am I? Why am I? What am I to do? Understand, you may work in a certain career. It may not be the destiny that God had for you. You may be over 60 and you see yourself at the end of your career. It doesn't mean you're at the end of your destiny. You may be in the midst of your working career, putting food on the table, doing this. That doesn't mean it prevents you from living out your destiny, your purpose. Everybody has a purpose. In every acorn, there's a mighty oak. There's God's purpose in you. God's design defines your destiny. I leave you with that. Let's have that intentional time to talk to God about why, who am I, why am I, and what am I to do. God bless you. God keep you. Be encouraged, because I am so glad the tomb was empty.